In today's Leeds news, new away kit leak, Dan James' new deal, Leeds summer transfer summary, Bijol on pre-season, and today's rumour mill stories on Senny, Lammens and Tom Fellows. Morning folks, welcome back to The View for Tuesday morning the 15th of July with your Leeds United news. Hope you're all having a really good week so far. There's a little bit of stuff to get stuck into, but transfer wise it's very, very quiet on the ground. We've got some detail on what is actually going on there behind the scenes at Leeds, and we've got a piece from Graham Smith which has annoyed a couple of people, but we'll get into that in a few minutes time. We are going to show the new kit that has leaked out online last night, so if you don't want to see that, we'll do it in the first story. You can skip past it if you want it. We'll start off today with that story, and the new Leeds United away kit did leak last night online and looks pretty real. All of the elements that were initially linked from the football headlines piece back in November are all represented in this. The blue and yellow kit takes its inspiration from the 2001 to 2003 Leeds United second strip, with some slight changes because Adidas are not allowed to completely rip off a Nike design and had to put some slight changes in it. The three stripes on the shoulder consist of two yellow with one white in the middle. There's a small white design on the V-neck collar as well, and the Red Bull logo is in yellow, as well as the hoops that were part of that 2001 shirt being included in this as well. It's close to the leaks that were going out, or the concept ones that were out there. It's really, really nice. It was one of my favourite away kits that Leeds ever had, and it's great to see them bringing it back. There's no launch date just yet on this kit, but it looks like it's relatively soon because this appears to have leaked from a JD Sports in Ireland somewhere. So if it's in stores, that means likely there is a launch happening pretty soon. Let's move on. Let's talk about Dan James. And in the worst kept secret in modern football history, Dan James has finally been announced as signing his new deal at Leeds United. James will sign a 4-year deal at the club and have his peak years at Elland Road now moving forward. And the 27-year-old Welsh winger was vitally important to what Leeds United did last season, and will move into the Premier League with Leeds and given the chance to finally play as a winger in the Premier League, where he didn't get that opportunity. Under Marcelo Bielsa, he was played as a number 9, and then under Jesse Marsch, he was loaned out. So he'll finally get a crack at playing in the wide positions that he didn't get to do in the first 2 years. James has clocked up 123 appearances for Leeds so far in his career and has 51 goal involvements as well. So has had a major impact. I'm delighted to see that Dan will be sticking around Leeds for a little bit longer anyway, and I'm really excited to see what he can do in the Premier League, playing in his natural wide position for the coming season. Let's move on. Let's talk about Leeds' transfer being summarised, and yesterday Graham Smith put out a piece that's annoyed a couple of people, and I think possibly the timing and lack of transfer activity is more the reason for the annoyance than maybe necessarily anything in the piece, but we'll go into it because there are a couple of bits in this that do seem to come directly from the club. There is a lot of filler as well, and that's possibly also what's annoyed people, that there's not a massive step forward in the information being given out here. But one of the issues that Smith points out, and I believe this as well, is that Leeds have lost out on certain targets to Sunderland because Leeds didn't value Habib Diarra at £30 million. They valued him at 21, and Leeds weren't willing to put £27 million up front for the player, which Sunderland have done. Leeds wanted to spread that out over a longer period of time. Also on the piece, it states that Leeds are adamant they didn't bid for Noah Siddiqui. However, the player himself has said that he did, but it does point out that we've no idea if any of these players being signed by Sunderland will work for them next season. They had a lot of catching up to do in the squad anyway. They still haven't touched their back line with Luke O'Nien and centre half and Patterson in goal. There's question marks there about them. But what he does point out, and I think this is the real part there, is that the optics are the issue here. It doesn't look good to be missing out on targets to other likely relegation sides. Sunderland, though, will be missing both of those players for all of December for the African Cup of Nations, and 4 other players will also be going, and they're trying to sign El Kanous, which will be another one who will miss the entirety of December for the African Cup of Nations, and assuming they come back in one piece as well. Smith also points out that the increasing fan grumbles relate to the fact that there's no number 9, no number 10, no goalkeeper in the door yet, and possibly even no winger. But the club have said, and this is where the information appears to have come from the club, that they see Longstaff and Anton Stack as viable transfer options right now. However, they do say that the leaking of the Stack movement hasn't helped negotiations. Now, if I'm being very honest here, to be fair, Just because you want to do your business in silence doesn't mean that that's going to happen. It's naive to think that you can do everything with Premier League level transfers under the radar when it is very much part and parcel of everyone's business. To say that it has hindered your negotiations as well, for me, doesn't add up, because every single team in the Premier League has to deal with this with every single transfer. So for me on this, 49ers need to toughen up on that one and push through and get the deals done. I'm pretty sure all of the leaking of the information around Gyökeres to Arsenal hasn't impacted them in any way in getting negotiations done there. It is part and parcel of football, and they need to deal with that. So for me on that one, they need to just front up and move forward and get these ones done. It also points out that the bigger deals that Leeds want to do will be done later in the summer's transfer window, and they still feel that Rodrigo Muniz is an option for them and can get a deal done. But it would be likely that Fulham will need to sign their targets first before then freeing Muniz up to move, and it could also explain why Leeds are trying to save some pennies along the way in order to put the money down on what would be a very expensive signing should Rodrigo Muniz moved to Leeds. On the goalkeeping situation, the issue seems to be around the club agreeing and getting a collective agreement on who the right target is for this year. That appears to have been done now. And like Smith, I agree on this position. Of all of the positions I want to see come in next, I can wait on the goalkeeper if it means getting the right one, because the integration of a keeper into a squad is less than an outfield player. There's less chemistry work needed there. But for me, it's about getting the right one and not getting one quickly and overspending on one. So as it stands right now, and based on the information that's been given out, Leeds are still pushing for Sean Longstaff and for Anton Stack, both of them. The goalkeeping situation they're looking at, but the bigger deals, likely your 9 and your 10, will come later in the window. The keeper and the central midfielders appear to be where Leeds are focusing their energy right now. Also from Isaac Johnson in Leeds Live, he says that club sources have told them that they can sign a championship player whenever they want to, but they're trying to sign higher caliber players than that right now, and that takes more time. But for me, and the main issue with all of this is, the 49ers want to work in silence, and although that can be a positive come the end of the window, during the window, for me, it is the biggest issue, because that void of information will be filled by other people, by people with transfer rumours and stories that aren't true, and then Leeds missing out on targets that they never actually went for in the first place. So having that silence comes with its own issues, and for me, it has always been and will always be the biggest issue is the silence around the place, and the fan base just want to know what's going on. So for me, if they fix that issue, I think a lot of the other ones will go away. But that's where we are right now in terms of the incoming players. Let's move on and talk about a player that Leeds did sign and his thoughts on pre-season so far. And Bijol has been settling into his surroundings at Thorpe Arch and has been speaking about the pre-season so far and how he has found it. Leeds head off to Stockholm this weekend to play Manchester United in their first pre-season friendly before then flying to Germany to begin their pre-season camp. And on pre-season and how it's going so far, Bijol said the following to LUTV. Yeah, for sure, the first couple of days have been hard. It should be hard, so we are ready for it. We'll be suffering for a few more weeks, and I think it's a bit better like this. Doing some work with the ball early on, I think. We still run a little bit, but at least we have a ball. It's a little bit of everything. Bijol also went on to say that the weather hasn't had a major impact factor. The heat isn't a major problem. It's been a tough pre-season, but they like a tough pre-season as they get ready for what will be a very physical Premier League campaign. They'll need to be fitter than normal to crack on in the Premier League, so we'll see how they get on. Let's move into the rumour mill territory now, and as we always say, pinch of salt with all of these, but let's give you the information, you decide if you believe it or not. Let's start off with Senny Lammens, and Leeds had interest in Senny Lammens back in 2023 when they were looking at maybe even replacing Ilan Meslier at that point with the young keeper, but they didn't, and he moved to Royal Antwerp at that time. According to the Telegram, they state that Leeds have still got some interest in Lammens, but so do Manchester United and so do Sunderland. Royal Antwerp sporting director Mark Overmars confirmed this week that Lammens will leave the club this summer and they've already signed their replacement for him, and he could be seen as a first choice option for Leeds United, but he does have a price tag of around €20 million, which will be a major problem in this deal. If I'm being very honest around this, all I would say is I don't think that this is a Leeds United transfer. This appears to be an agent attaching Leeds' name to this. It's a Sunderland target by all accounts. We know what Leeds' targets are in the goalkeeping position, so I wouldn't read too much into this, and I think Leeds' name is being added to this as it helps the agent to rack up the interest in the player. Let's move on and talk about Tom Fellows. And after England's impressive Euro Under-21 competition where they won the whole thing, Sky Sports have said that Leeds and Everton are both interested in West Bromwich Albion's midfielder Tom Fellows. Fellows is 22 years of age, can operate in the centre of the park as well as wide on their right, and played 45 times for West Brom last season. He clocked up 4 goals and added an impressive 14 assists. Fellows can, as I say, operate in multiple positions, which we know Leeds little like, but again, not convinced by this one. And I think if he was to come into Leeds, if he came in after primary targets were brought in, I think everybody would be fine. I think if he comes in before them or at all, people will ask about the ambition of the signing. So for me, good player Tom Fellows, good young player, would be a longer term prospect for Leeds United. But yeah, the timing of when and if he does come in will be what would dictate the reaction, I think, on that one. Folks, that'll be it for me today. Massive thanks as always. Back in the morning for more Leeds news. If you're buying your Leeds merch, you can check it out. The Fanatics link around here somewhere. It's probably over here, down there in the corner. There you go. You can check it out there if you want it. That helps support the channel. And I will be back tomorrow morning for more Leeds news. Talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.